Musicians on the Record. Welcome to Musicians on the Record. I'm David Ward. This is the show where we get the musician's story, and I am so psyched today, live on Facebook, on the internet. We've got legendary drummer Billy Cobham on the show with us today. Billy, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's a pleasure to be up that far north in the United States. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in the MOTR Studios in Portland, Maine. You are in Switzerland, correct?
Yes, just outside of Bern in Schuppen. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. What's the weather like in Switzerland? How was your day?
Well, today it was pretty much like around about 45 degrees thereabouts, but I can tell you that could change at any time. Right. Like where you guys are, you know.
Right. That's right.
You'll see a moose walk down the street, and you realize, oh, hey, instead of it being called a moose, it's called an elk here.
An elk,
yeah.
Yes.
And you get out the way and let it go.
That's right. Yeah. Right. You don't want to run into one of those things, no. Right? It's not good. It's not good. So yeah. Wherever folks are watching from in the world, let us know where you're watching from. You can ask Billy any questions you want. Leave your comments, whether you're watching live or in the replay. Please join us. That would be great. And I'm really excited, Bill, because we're going to be able to connect in person later this year, the summer. We've got the Art of the Rhythm section happening in Mesa, Arizona in July.
Yeah.
Please tell me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what that means is we will be working together with greats like Randy Brecker and Lee Oscar, Fareed Haq, who great guitarist with Joe Zawinul. Then there's Tim Landers, my old bass player from way back in the day, who come back to me and has been working with me since in the last 2-3 years. And last but not least, I should say Scott Tibbs and Paul Hansen, who's a rather fascinating person. Scott Tibbs is a Mr. Roland. He's a designer for Roland keyboards and electronic stuff, and he's an incredible player. You know, he played with Omar Hakim and Beyonce, people like this. He's studios in California, and straight out of Henderson, which is outside of Las Vegas. Okay. And when he was a kid, and Paul Hansen is rather fascinating. He's our savant. He's if you can imagine. Envision somebody standing on a corner playing an instrument that sounds kind of like a bassoon, kind of like a bass clarinet, bassoon, and it turns out, yeah, it's a bassoon, but it sounds like Charlie Parker on it.
Is that right?
And, yeah, so he's quite serious, and then he turns around and plays like Lenny Pickett on soprano saxophone. He's out of the Bay Area. All of these guys, except for the stupid drummer, have got their degrees in this and that, you know, the professorial blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And one's retired from Northern Illinois in the Cobham, and that's Fareed. And then you have Scott, who's been finagling around at UCLA. Tim is over at Porcaro's place in the Los Angeles College of Music. He's teaching there. And Paul, last but not least, is at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music and Jazz. Oh. And it's oh, by the way, yeah, this is what we have to do to earn a living. You know, but we can't just, we're not musicians. We have to have a real job, you know.
Yeah,
exactly. What do you do for a living, Ken? Yeah, okay. So they got that, you know. And then that leaves me. And so I'm chuckling along, trying to find everybody a gig. You know,
well, you're the other savant in the room as well, quite frankly. So, and we can't forget about the global ambassador of drumming, Dom Famularo, is also going to be part of that too.
Oh,
right?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's probably got about 1 million different honorary degrees to one degree or another.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
That all, you know, from you know, on a scale of 1 to 10 can get him on a bus at any point in time if he has enough money.
That's right. That's right.
Same like me, you know, except I don't have anything that proves that.
That's fantastic. So, you know, you how many years now has the retreat been going?
We're entering our 4th year, and I'm really, really like proud. I'm saying, gee, they actually bought this. I can't believe it, you know. Yeah. this is actually real. The people are actually, I got them going.
Yeah.
You know, we got some live ones here. But and the thing about it is that it's not about a whole lot of numbers. We're talking about just getting people who are really interested in getting better at what they do at any level. Yeah. So if you take that concept, that means it's not about scales. It's about how you feel, how you play, how you connect with your colleagues on the bandstand in real time. So you hit the ground running on the blues. What's going to get everybody happy? You know, so to get the feeling that you know what you're doing, so that they can feel that they can share with you, and that's what this project is about. And this year, it's really focusing on how to feel good when you play. So we call it the feel good sessions.
Oh, that's
So
great.
what's going to happen is that when you come to play, because I know you're coming on.
Yes.
You got to play, man. You got to come in the afternoon. You'll be assigned a rhythm section, okay, and your audience will set the tempo for you. And the whole objective that that can start. It doesn't have to be the drummer that starts the thing. Okay. Could be the bass player just plays a line. It could be, you know, we'll take what I've got a list of my tunes, things like of course, Stratus, Red Baron, Hip Pockets, you know, all groove tunes from my recordings. You know, Funky Thigh to Sings, things like this. About 10 of them or 15 of them, and you know, and Lili, Panama, but it's grooves that you can keep, and the whole objective is, for whomever starts it in the game, when everybody else comes in, that's assigned to the rhythm section, you have to sustain it for at least a couple minutes. Like if it's Panama, bum, 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 and we're clapping. This is the tempo, and all of us are clapping in the room. Nice. Bum, bum, bum. And if we stop clapping, that means you failed.
Oh, okay.
It's all about the body language.
That means you're not feeling it if you stop clapping.
If you're not feeling it, why are we clapping?
Right.
If you can't make us feel good, then something's wrong. So that's when we take somebody in the rhythm section that doesn't seem to be, that seems to be the weakest link, or maybe even the strongest link, and replace them with somebody else that might fit. You know, we discuss that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it.
So it's not. It's just how. What do you have to do? And almost always the key is simplicity. Yeah. You know, it's the chord, how the chord is played, support mechanism, the bass and the drums, they stay where they are, or what? You have to decide. It's raw, streetwise, you know, common sense. That's all it is. You know, we get that, everybody's happy.
Right. Because especially with the rhythm section, drums and bass specifically, we are there to serve the song, serve the music. Right. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, so we, and it's about 30, 40 of us, or maybe if we're lucky 50, but at the most, I mean, we can't do more than that. The whole organization has to sit there and go, okay, let's help these guys get through this. And if that's happening, you pass the course, man. Yeah. You know, you're doing it. There it is. You know, it's on to somebody else that has to do the same thing. And every day it's like that.
Right. That's great. I'm gonna try my best to make you still clap. So.
Oh yeah, no, you know, we'll be there. We're supposed to support you. Yeah. But we're your springboard. Once we get you going, now you got to keep us.
That's right.
In the loop.
Yeah. You know, there was one time, one of my interviews, I was lucky enough to interview Daryl Jones, the bass player from the Stones, who
one of my favorites.
Yeah, right. And he also played with Miles Davis, as you did, and
stepped ahead.
Yeah, right. And it blew my mind when he was talking about listening to the intention of another musician. Seems like this is some of what we're talking about. Is that right?
It's a lot of what we're talking about. Well, it's not listening, it's interpretation of what the other players do. Okay. You can listen, but then there's the next dimension is to translate what you've heard in real time and to turn that into something that you then spit out back to everybody. Yeah. Wow. All at the same time. So it's like, you hear that, you go, wow, yeah, man. It could only be one stroke, but that stroke has to be right there. You know, amazing. And consistent. you make people feel, when you're playing, like secure by doing what you do with security, with intent, that it's consistent, and that you're going, this is where it is. Yeah. You're not going, well, I'm not quite sure I'm going to try this. No. It's got to be here right now, okay? Because it's already gone by the time you played it. Yeah. So the next one has to be coming, and it has to be in the same place all the time. Yeah.
And so as a drummer, where did you learn this? How did you learn it? Who taught you these things that you are passing on?
Experience. It's like everything I do, but when I'm on the bandstand, even the little bits that you go, okay, you're playing, you may be playing too aggressively, and the how can I call him, the concert master, for lack of a better term, or the guy who's playing the bills, comes to you and says, listen, man, if I ever call you again, this is what I'd like you to do. And he may never call you again, but he's going to give you some very valuable information. He or she. Yeah. So Shirley Scott, let's say, and Stanley Turrentine, she was a great legendary organist, and her husband was a great tenor saxophone player named Stanley Turrentine. And she came to me and said, Billy, if we call you again, I'd like you to do so-and-so. I never worked for him again, okay? But I was working in Detroit at Baker's Keyboard Lounge in a trio with him. Okay. When I straight flesh out in the Army and all of that, I want to make sure, I said, I'm not going to sound bad, and that's a problem. Immediately, that's a problem, because I means me. Right. What about the rest of the band? You see? And she said, I need for you to, just give me something that supports me, man. You're playing your ass off, but you're only playing for you. Right. And I need somebody, I need for you to play for me. I need for you to play for Stanley, Yeah. Easier said than done until you take that in and you go, yeah, man, but I was playing, I was there. Yeah. But only for yourself. Major lesson, important lesson.
Absolutely.
And the next thing you know, you go until you find what really fits, what the formula is from band to band. You have to be willing to make the moves, whatever that might be, on that particular given gig, with the hopes that this is the right part of the formula that will fit. And generally speaking, that always falls back into the environment of just playing just what is necessary to make everybody feel good. Yeah. And that's really hard if you've learned a lot. If you know so much that you want to show who you are and that you are different than everybody else, and you're not, because everybody learned that before. How else can you learn it if, it didn't just come off the air? Right. But you're not thinking that way. Right. I need this gig. I need this job. They're working. They have a tour. I got to do the rest of the tour. So I'm going to play my buns off. Sure. And playing your buns off in the way that you're thinking is absolutely wrong. It has to just be enough to blend in and be the support mechanism for the people in the front. And they have to then turn around and acknowledge what you're doing by playing what they feel will force you to do something more to keep them going. So it's like it becomes this loop that's very positive. And until you get that happening, you don't have a job.
Yeah, right. I love that concept, because it feels like some of what you're saying, where my head goes is music, especially in a band, is a team sport, right?
Right.
Michael Jordan could have scored every point, but he had to make his teammates better for them to succeed, right?
There you go. Yeah. I mean, and one of the things that used to drive, I had a guy play bass in my band. I'm not going to mention his name, but because it's hard enough to get he can't get a gig anymore. He's passed on. But the thing is that he used to tell me, he said, man, I'm the greatest bass player. He was trying to make himself feel good. And maybe it was a joke to some degree, but I wasn't laughing, because those are words that are very serious, right, coming out of the blue. And he did play some amazing things. He played with a lot of great musicians. And I said, well, this is what I'd like you to play. And when he looked at my material he just put it off to the side. And I knew from the body language that he wasn't going to practice my stuff.
Yeah, wow.
He wanted my job. He wanted the job in the band. So we did get to a point where he wasn't, it came across, he was not prepared. He said, "Don't worry, Billy, and I'm not gonna sound bad. No, it's gonna be all right." I said, "But what about the band?"
Yeah. Right.
You know,
sure.
Here you are. And I said, "I can't change you.
Yeah.
If anything, what can I do to fix this? Because I know you're not gonna play very well as part of my band, as a team. Now I have to change the music because I know you can't play it."
Yeah. That's a drag.
I didn't get response. In terms of words, I got a response in terms of body language, with his silence and like, what else do you say to that?
Yeah.
You know, and it was also a lesson for me to learn that just because these people have you hire someone with a tremendous resume, they play for everybody else. They have to play with respect. Not like you, but respect you.
Sure.
They are only going to play for the payday, then they don't respect you. They just respect the amount of money that's coming, and this is going to buy their time so they can get to someplace else where they can do something they would prefer to do.
Yeah.
That's what I want to stay away from, and that's what I'd like to show everybody, to expose to all musicians, that music doesn't lie. It tells the truth all the time. And if you can play, not meaning all the notes you know,
right,
and all this, the scales and all of that, it's about what you do with them.
Yeah, sure.
And if you can't do that, you're going to hurt yourself and hurt everybody else in the process, and no one's going to be happy.
Right. And you got to play well with the other kids as well in the band, right? So
it would make sense. Yeah.
So let me ask you too, where did this idea even come from to do the Art of the Rhythm section? Because nobody made you do this, but obviously this is a passion for you.
I started to consider this when I had some really, and I still do. Who's still around? Well, there's a wonderful pianist who plays from time to time, jazz pianist named George Cables. And George and I went to the School of Performing Arts. George went to Performing Arts High School, the school that they did the Fame series about. And I went to the High School of Music and Arts in Harlem. Okay, all at the same time, but we lived in the same neighborhood. Along with George was a guy named Clint Houston, who he was an artist, he was a painter and sculptor, and he went to Pratt Institute, but he was a great bass player and loved the artistry of a bassist by the name of Scott LaFaro, who played with the great Bill Evans, the pianist. Sure. Okay, Clint died. Okay, so he's no longer with us. We had a band together, actually a rhythm section as part of a band called the Jazz Samaritans. We then attended worked with an organization called Jazzmobile in New York City. And out of that organization, the head of that organization, I think, as the person that I knew as being head of it, was the great Billy Taylor. Dr. Billy Taylor was a pianist, jazz pianist. But other musicians were part of that worked and supported the project in their own small ways. And one of them was a guy by the name of Chris White, who played bass with Dizzy Gillespie. And the drummer who also, Chris and the drummer Rudy Collins, he passed away many years ago, but those guys were really into the next generation. Billy Taylor, Chris, Rudy Collins. At Big Ben would come, and they had a thing called Rhythm Associates. And what Rhythm Associates did was that they offered a course for 6 weeks, 6 Saturday mornings. About 3 hours on Saturday morning. The reason why it was Saturday morning is because they were jazz musicians, and they never went to bed until around 11 o'clock in the morning. 12 o'clock. They were up all night. They just sort of slide to Chris's office, and they just dismantle me and George and Clint, for playing everything wrong, And in a way, it doesn't come easy. They didn't. They just came streetwise, street words, everything else. I said, man, you wasting my time.
Wow.
They were my audience, you know.
Yeah.
What are you guys trying? What are you doing? You know, and they just dismantled and then put us back together gently, you know. You need to do this, you know. And also the great Roland Hanna was a great pianist who played with the Thad Jones Mills Big Band, the original band. And he just said, you got to understand the chords, the structure of the chords. You got to listen to, and when you play a ballad, learn the lyrics. If you don't know the chords, write them down because, and it's an interesting truism. If you don't know something and you write the pattern down, that's what the music's for.
Yes.
You will remember in your mind's eye the music that you wrote. You wrote, not that somebody else wrote.
Right.
You see, so you in your mind's eye now, you've written it. You see the change, you know what's coming, and you play that. You know, and so that's a great guide. And I said to myself, you know, these guys ain't gonna be around all the time. I think this is a gift that we have to pass on. That and that was ballpark 68, 69. I mean, I was moonlighting. Oh no, 67. I was still in the Army when that was happening. I was at Fort Dix at the 178th Army Band with Grover Washington and who else was in that band? What's his name? Cecil Bridgewater, a great trumpet player who did the studio all the time. Was Dee Dee Bridgewater's husband. We were all we were in the Army together in the Army Band, and we were close to New York, so Bordentown, Fort Dix, and that was it, you know. And all of this we'd study. And I said, I need to continue this idea. Actually, it was like a dream, you know. If I ever could, and this comes from it's a reality now, primarily because I'm kind of more of a maverick on a parallel track to most players. I am my manager. My wife and I run a mom and pop in a way. You know, it's like, this is what we do. We need a bus for the tour. Okay, let's call the bus company. You know, it's that kind of thing. You don't call a manager and say we need a bus. Yeah, no, we do it. And you know, we put all of this stuff together. We do the pre-production, the music. When we make a record, I do the photography, blah blah blah. She writes, you know, the credits. It's just what we do. It's just and it's very very simple thing. And the funny part is that if you do it with not just love and integrity, but with a sense of direction, the small amount of product that you may sell in the eyes of some huge conglomerate corporation. Once you take all those guys out of the way and you just sell it yourself, you probably made more money than you could have made if you had a hit record. That's right. And they gave you the 5% of wholesale that you know. No, you just walk away going, okay. So we made the money back that we needed to print. The whole artwork is all done and everything like that, and we're in profit, and we only made like $500. And you realize, good Lord. So I could have sold, if I sold 1 million records, chances are with breakage, returns, all this other stuff, I'd still be in debt. Right. So it's so funny. And I just laugh. I go, boy, these guys. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Multiplied by how many million artists are out there? Right. Exactly. Yep. Not great deals these days, right? If there ever were, right? You know, you sit and you go, okay, I get it, you know. And if we got better playing, because it's all about how well we play. So here we are getting on the bandstand, and what's going to determine what we sell is how we play. If we play well, we may just sell 2 records as opposed to 1. You know, it's just that kind of thing. You know, and if we really play well, wow, I want 5 records maybe, you know, but it's still our record. That's right. Exactly. And I love that, man, you know, and it just goes on like this. And I go, okay, I don't want to, I love, this is better than any Grammy I could ever win, you know, because the funny part about the Grammys is that I see the same cats that won the Grammys have to pay the manager and the marketing companies
Sure.
to get, and then somebody's charging them back for the Grammy that they all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
What?
right. I got a $1.50 left, I guess. That's pretty good, right? So,
you just get to the point where you start,
yeah,
you just laugh about it and you go, yeah, it's serious, but you can't, you die if if you're going to take this down on take it too personal,
right. Yeah, exactly. So this is really great that this is a dream for you, that you got taught these things by amazing musicians and that you're giving back. We were talking before we went live. You're going to be 75 soon, next month, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so for me, when I look at the 75 and I go, shit, how did I get here? I just made sure that when I saw a red light, it was a red light. You stop, you go when it's green. Yeah, all these things that seem like, oh man, what are you talking about? You're joking, right? No,
yeah, right.
No, but okay, it's like not mercenary. I can't remember but it's just things that that people take for granted in life. Until you go somewhere where this, away from the beaten path, like going to someplace like, I don't know, at Cornell University or something like this, and these beautiful little towns, manicured, not just by nature.
Yeah.
And you realize, man, I'd love to live here. Yeah. I'd love to just be quiet. What I have on the bandstand or on stage is enough for me. Yeah. And you start to balance out your life that way. Now, it's turning 75 and moving to Switzerland. I'm approaching my 39th year in Europe. Wow. And I say to myself, okay, I get it. I've learned a lot here, and yet I don't know very much. I mean, this is a region of the world that is not the oldest region in the world. I mean, if you wanted to go to China, it's so complicated over there. There's no way. I mean, it's hard for anybody to get anything happening there. But here, the origins of Western civilization fundamentally are here. And when you see how things work and why they didn't work and what's going on right now, Brexit in England, and you take all of these things into consideration and you study, and then you put that into music, what you end up with is like a bottomless pit of ideas, thoughts that are organized, because everybody fundamentally has to be organized in order to present themselves. Yeah. And at 75, I think I'm good for 50 albums of my own right now, and under my own name. Being able to work with people whom I find to be the best that I can find, and in a small group of musicians and artists who would be willing to collaborate with me. Based on my ideas as an artist, not as a drummer who happens to write music. And oh, by the way, it's more like, how can we make this idea work as a team? And that's where I want to be able to what I want to be able to share with everybody that comes, because it's a pretty easy way to make things happen. I mean, people jump up and down and say, yeah, well, the chord may be this and the chord may be that, and I can identify it this way. Okay, great. Now we have the academic thing, but can you give me what I've written based on how it's written and how it sounds on the sound file, which is what I've given you. Right. I don't care what you call it. I just need for you to do it. Right. That's what I want to. That's what I'm selling. Sure. Okay. Sure. And that's why you're here. And if they can do that, I find that works very well. And the language. In my 75 years, that I've learned tremendously to be the truest language in the world, which is, we can take this music. I've gone to Nepal with Stratus, and had it played, I was surprised when they played that in Nepal by Mount Everest.
That's awesome.
Or we just played Almaty, which is in the base of the Hindu Kush, the same mountain range on the backside in Kazakhstan. And here are kids playing Stratus, Red Baron, and for all it's worth, man, in their own way, but they're grooving. Right. Yeah. You see? And I'm saying, okay, then of course there's Israel, 5 or 6 different conservatories in Tel Aviv alone, you know, and everybody's trying to find another way to do the one thing they need to do, which is play very, very simple, direct, and to the point, soulful music. And as soon as somebody does that, everybody starts to cry. You know, it's like, it's emotional, you know, and you start to feel it. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, do that, you'll always work. If anything, you'll be running away from the promoters. You know? So the whole objective is to show that you know what you're doing. Yeah, so you get your parchment and all of that, but then it's down to like, what do you use from what you've learned when you need it, you know? Right. And this is all that I'm trying to pass on. And this is what, you know, at my 75th birthday, it's the idea. It's the idea of playing, touring, all over the place, man, and just enjoying. Because I've seen it happen in China. I've seen it. You've got Grace Kelly. It's a kid out of who studied. I think her dad is. Let me get this right. Is an American. She played alto saxophone, and I think she went to Music and Art High School, like me, of course. But she's from her mom is Chinese, I think, and she plays unbelievable alto sax and studied with Phil Woods. Phil Woods, insane. Yeah. And when I played with her, with the National Symphony of Russia in Moscow for the I think it was the Christmas holidays, yeah. And we were there and we both guests, and she played some tunes. We played some tunes by Louis Armstrong and all of this, and I was just playing in the background. And she played her buns off, and I said, "Man, it's come a long way, man." I mean, I've seen it. I've seen jazz. I've seen there's a jazz ensemble out of oh man, what's the name of it now? Genghis Khan. The steps of I can't remember the name of the country now. Is it Genghis Khan? The riding the horses. Can't remember the name of the country, but anyway, these guys had their
talking Tibet.
Huh?
Tibet?
No, it's not Tibet. It's the flatlands. It's where the Mongols.
Okay.
Mongolia.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Can you imagine the Mongolian jazz string quartet or something like this, right? In Budapest, Hungary. Wow. And these guys are playing "Scrapple from the Apple" by Charlie Parker.
Oh my God!
Right?
Wow.
And I'm going like, hello?
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was there for percussion at the workshop. And I had to write my friend back and say, I think it's Clarence, and I wrote him at the time. I said, man, I just came out of a concert by the Mongolian Jazz String Quartet where they were playing the music of Charlie Parker, "Scrapple from the Apple."
It's amazing.
And I fell down and couldn't believe it. It was unique, right. You know. And I went, wow, you know, sure. So much to learn, man, so much to learn. Right. And all of this, you know, you have these experiences and you play those experiences. Right. Yeah. And they're always generally, yes, of course you can find things wrong with them all the time based on what you know. But just the fact that these people tried to do something like that and to come as close as they possibly could to that. Yeah. Hey, what can I say? You know?
It's amazing. Now, this is, you know, the Art of the Rhythm section, this retreat, which folks can, it's on the screen, billycobhamretreat.com. People can find, it's not just for drummers and bassists, right? Please.
Yeah, it's for guitar players, it's for keyboard players, and it's for wind players. So you can play trumpet, you can play saxophone, flute, whatever. We need frontline people. Right. The thing is that to some degree, it's a limited situation. Right now, you know, it's open. As you mentioned, Nancy Ballot, that you guys have that whole thing with a early bird thing, yes. Where that's not my bailiwick. But I'm just there to try to, you know, once it's decided who's coming and all of that, we'll prepare. We'll be ready.
Yeah. What's somebody, and it happens July 14th through the 20th this summer in Mesa, Arizona.
Yes.
Somebody brand new to this concept, and you're looking for a certain level of competence player, not just someone who picked up the sticks or the guitar, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about weekend warriors, people who, you know, and above, not somebody who just never played drums or never played an instrument before. You got to come and with the knowledge of how to play, that you're playing with colleagues on from time to time on the weekend, or you have a small gig in a I don't know, cocktail lounge or something like this, or jam with friends in your basement, but you guys want to get more out of it than you're doing. So that means you need to know how to play, you know, to some degree. And then we talk about that. And also, what's even more important is not just talking, you're rubbing elbows with people who do the same thing. So your questions need not necessarily be voiced by you. The fact that you're there says that you're interested in being better than you are. And so you're going to be, as like in a big wave, you're going to be carried forward, and you can't hurt. It's got to be positive, that you will make advances just by doing stuff, you know? And that's what it's going to be about.
Yeah, it's great. So come with an open mind and
absolutely,
and an openness to learn. It's not supposed to be that you're supposed to know everything. I mean, what I'm hearing from you is you're still learning at 75 almost, right?
Oh yeah, I'm still a student. I mean, all I'm trying to do, if anything, that's a platform for me and my coaches. We all learn. You know, we bring stuff. Say Scott, complicated as it may sound, he creates stuff. He brings prototype machines, they try things, and he's trying in his own world. We do an electrical thing called bridging the percussion, in percussion, bridging the electric with the acoustic, you know, and so he's setting up loops and stuff like this, and I'm playing inside that and triggering hybrid pickups on the drums with different sounds. Sure. So that's one possibility, one thing that's definitely happening. We're talking about basically, though, how to just have a handshake, musical handshake amongst the rhythm section. Yeah. Hey, I'm so and so, and this is what I do. Boom. Okay, let's drop that. Let's see if that works with me. You know, and we all lock in, and it starts with the coaches. Yeah. We'll play first, and we'll lay it down. And say this is where it's at, man. Right. This is where here's your form. This is what we do. This is how we do what we do. How can we make this go? You know, this is where we want to go with it. This is where we want to stay. We just want to build the intensity level. We want to work on the dynamics of this rhythm section relationship. Sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned the early bird special was supposed to end April 1st, but it's extended through the end of the month. So folks they can find out more about that at billycobhamretreat.com. And you guys, at the end of the week, you're going to give us a concert as part of all of that, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So the concert will feature Randy Brecker and Lee Oscar, and of course the band.
Right,
you know.
Right. Now, you mentioned Randy Brecker as well. You guys are playing again.
Yeah, he's part of the Crosswinds project. Yeah. And that we're touring worldwide. Wow. And a big tour. Unfortunately, the closest we come to Maine is Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
We'll be in Nantucket at around the latter part of October.
Oh, great. Okay.
I think it's like ballpark around the 24th or 24th or 23rd, 24th. We're in Nantucket.
I will look it up and put it on my calendar then. That sounds great. Awesome. Yeah. And other changes for you that are happening. Let's talk about Vader.
Yeah. Drumsticks. Well, it's a very emotional thing for me. It's very subjective. You know, Vic is gone. Vic Firth was my guy. Yeah. Before Vic, it was Herbie Brockstein. I've only been with 2 companies up until Vader came along. Okay. And with Brockstein was 77 to 89, and then Vic came into my life, and because he made a stick specifically for me with the notch on the back, and that just stopped last week. Yeah. I just decided, you know, the music business primarily. I mean, Vic died maybe 3-4 years ago, and that was already hard on me. Sure. But I never had a problem with it because the product, the Vic First product, it's always been consistent. But in losing that personal kind of touch, eventually I had a feeling it was going to stop. I thought, well, you know, I'm going into that period of where I'm becoming a pensioner. I probably won't need this stuff that much anymore. And then I realized that after a while, I needed more than I ever thought. I needed more help where I never asked for it before, because I found a niche with the Art of the Rhythm Section Retreat, the Sweetwater Partners in Rhythm project that's coming up in October in the fall. That's kind of like the Art of the Rhythm Section Retreat, but for directors of universities and teaching teachers how to teach better and all of that.
Nice.
Whole other thing, but still small. And it would be held at Sweetwater. So that's another story for another time.
Okay.
But what's happening is that at Sweetwater, I was talking about it. I said, you know, man, we need, in order to make this happen, we need to get a few companies online and to get behind us and to make this happen. And when I went to Vic Firth, they weren't in a position to really make that happen anymore. They'd become much smaller. And I chose to, I found that with Vader, it was a young company, or one that I didn't really know that well. And I said, they introduced me to the representatives there, and they sent me some sticks. And at Firth, I never played with a maple stick because I wasn't really that comfortable with maple in a rock and roll or fusion environment. Okay. I loved hickory, and that was really kind of where I wanted to be. It was a much denser stick, and it worked best for me. Fast forward to Vader, and they came up with a stick called the SD1. That's a sweet maple stick. It's a little bit fatter, but lighter. Okay. And it sort of fools my hands into believing that it's a heavier stick than it is, but it isn't. Okay. You know, it's really just, but the tone coming off of my cymbals was really sweet. I love the sound. And on the rim shots and snare drum, it felt like home, except that I didn't have the notch. So, of course, slipping sticks out, because with Vic, it was the French method of holding sticks, and also everything is pretty loose. Yeah. It was the complete opposite of Dan Hinger or Fred Hinger's, where the stick and the body become one, and the next thing you know, your buddy Rich and everything is rattling away, and you're dying there.
Right.
Yeah. So I decided, okay, I need to make a move. Nothing personal, business. Sure. I got to get this, because Vader is willing to promote my projects. Great. And not me, but the project. Yeah. I mean, I'm at a point right now where it's all about, for me, getting this project to take root. The Art of the Rhythm Section Retreat, the Partners in Rhythm, to get people interested to do this 5 days or two weeks a year, learning. And then taking that information and pushing it forward. Sure. You know, that's my contribution. You know, and so I would like to see that happen. It's not about Billy Cobham being bigger or getting more popular. Right. I mean, I'm not turning it down. Sure. But the main objective is to try to do some things like this, and not only here in the United States, but worldwide. I mean, we've got some really interesting situations pending in places like Central America and South America, of course, in China. Yeah. You know, normal. Yeah. But even in British military bands, I mean, it's all about that, and that's where because I was in drum corps when I was a kid. And used to compete against St. Kevin's and Boston Crusaders and all of that. You know, so yeah, we go back to Frank Arsenal and Skokie and all of that. I know, it's there. Still, that never will go away.
That's we don't want it to go away, right? So
yeah, no, not at all.
So, is there already out, or will there be coming a Vader Billy Cobham stick?
Vader Billy Cobham stick will be out. It's in the process as of next week. Okay, so I'm right now. I know what I want. It'll be an SD1. Okay. It's not about having a name on it, although from what I understand, they'll be labeling that stuff, and we'll have it available. Yeah, great. And I'm playing for the next 10 days with what they call it, the World Jazz Youth Orchestra, and it's out of Asia, and there's a big meeting here for 10 days in Switzerland, where you have young people coming in from South Asia, from Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, of course, China, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it's about 17 pieces. And there actually is more than 17. My band's around 17 pieces. There's 2 bands like that. Yeah. And they have mentors. And I'm one. Ron Carter, bass player he'll be here. And he's doing it. It's Gil Goldstein, great pianist and arranger for Pat Metheny. He's here doing arrangements. And it just goes on like this. I'm just blessed because it's only about 50 miles away from my house.
Yeah, that's great.
So, I like a lot.
Yeah, convenient, right?
If I wanted to, I could fall out of bed and get to work on time, maybe. Right. Depends on the traffic. Yeah. But anyway, that's another story.
You got a lot of stuff going on. You're not slowing down for 75 at all.
No, it's really about trying to find a way to balance that with time off to keep your body healthy. Man, I just found out that I had for instance, for the last many years, I had an infection in my body that I didn't know about, and it turned out it was one tooth in the back of my mouth that and I didn't know it was infected, and I didn't know until 9 years later that it was that, and it was bothering my left foot. On my right side, left foot.
Holy
it happened. Yeah, it's amazing, man. So just like an infection, a body infection, a staph infection, whatever. And 2 days later, I feel amazing. I haven't felt this way in a long time.
Thank God, right? That's fantastic.
Yeah,
good.
You know, these things happen, and you just go. And so it's all about management of body, mind. What as important as being active and working and playing, it's important to take some time out and not do anything. Right. And just let the brain just chew on what you went through.
Right. So sometimes you just take a break from music. What are the things? What are the other things you love to do with your time off?
Photography.
Photography. Yeah. Any certain kind?
Check my Facebook page. You'll see quite a bit.
Okay.
Not all, but tremendous amount of my images are there.
Okay. That's fantastic. And is that a lifelong passion, or did that develop?
Since 1964, my secondary military MOS was photography.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. I also have a couple of questions in addition to the Art of the Rhythm section, some curiosities that you probably have talked about this before, other interviews too, but I don't know. I haven't heard them. The 4 sticks. Tell me about this, and how did this even start? What inspired you to do this?
You see, there's this little leprechaun named Louis Belson. He's a real pain in the ass. And he kept bugging me and poking me about doing this. I knew Louis, as a kid. Yeah. He was a friend of my folks, my family. Yeah. And, of course, Pearl was my mother's friend, Pearl Bale. So it was like this kind of thing. I'd see him do it, and I'd go, man, that's way beyond me. He said, B, you can do it too. And I would go, no, I can't. I can't even play 1 bass drum, man. Much less 2 bass drums. And now you want me to play 4 sticks, and you're playing 5 bass drums with Fiedler and the pops. Go away.
He's playing 5 bass drums.
He played 5 bass drums with the Boston Pops and with Arthur Fiedler and all those crazy people.
Forget about it.
Man. And I would watch this and I'd go, what is wrong with these people? Didn't they just hear him? How can you just lay it down? Right, right. And he's got to do all these other things. And I'm like, gosh, I'll never get there. Yeah. And he said, B, you got to. And he started poking me with this. The next thing you know, he had me kind of holding. He said, you're not going to learn it right now. And that started in 1978. Just holding the sticks and just trying to figure out what do you do with how do you do that? And what's involved in playing 2 sticks on 2 drums and then alternate sticking on the other hand and all this other stuff. And I'm going, I can't do this. And then next thing you know, he knew me well. Yeah. I don't know. I just go sit down at the drum set, sound check, and just as they're putting the mics around, and I just pick up 4 sticks. I wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
I started to fool around with it. I went, next thing you know, I'm doing this. I'm going, hey, I can do it. And as soon as I say that, it go away, and I go, no, come back, do it. It's like, oh man, And eventually, it's not about how much time. It's the time you put in, and the concept that you have for it. And over again, things would just come. First timpani mallets, and Vic made me sticks with beads inside that were like huge,
like shakers,
microphone mallets, shaker sticks they were called.
Wow.
They were burgundy, and then he stopped making them because nobody was buying them, except me. And I started fooling around with that, and I said, "Man, that's cool." And also, I was trying. They were almost like maracas.
Yeah.
With wound in
that
wool.
Sounds great.
So I was like, and everybody's going, "Whoa!"
Right.
But they wouldn't touch it.
No.
And no one. You're the first one to talk to me about this concept in maybe 5 years.
Wow. I find it.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So we can thank or blame Louis Belson, whatever folks want.
It's
right?
Louis. Not only that, the 3 bass drums I started using with Peter Gabriel and all of that, was Louis.
Wow.
I was doing 3 bass drums, 3 snare drums, all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, in '94 on the Gabriel tour, that's what I was doing.
I want to play a short video of this, Bill. Let me see if I can pull up the right one here. I know you won't be able to see it, but let me see if I can, if the computer... And folks who are watching, get your questions or comments in. We're talking to Billy Cobham here. I'm showing a video, Bill, of you on this giant drum set that you have with 4 sticks. And you're playing the concept. Tell me a little bit about what your concepts are or what you're thinking when you're doing a solo like this.
Can I hear it?
Let me see if you can hear it.
If I wanted to go, I have my iPad here, as I just thought about it. How do I get you? What do I do?
You go on to Musicians on the Record on Facebook. So
okay.
You go to Facebook at Musicians on the Record.
Facebook. Okay. Musicians.
Yep. Musicians on the Record.
On the Record. Okay. Okay. And Musicians on the Record. So I got that.
Yep. And we took a video from Drummer World. Yes, exactly. You got it.
What do I do now?
Maybe refresh the feed and just scroll down a little bit. You will see.
Refresh the feed? What do you mean refresh the feed?
Well, refresh the feed. Like hit the... I'm not sure exactly how to describe that, but just scroll down the page a little bit and you should see us live.
Everybody's in trouble.
Yeah.
Now nothing's working.
Now nothing's working.
Oh, Billy Cobham. Okay. I see it.
You see it?
Uh-huh.
Pull down the page a little bit. You can see this.
Oh, yeah. You might want to turn your volume down on it because we'll have an echo.
Just turned it off. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. And now you should be seeing you playing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What's happening? Yeah. I'm trying to choose. I set my drums up so I choose the drum that I want to play to suit the musical environment in which I'm performing. Mm. So that said, it comes off as being okay. I want to make a story. Mm. I want to tell a story. When I play, every note I play has a meaning. I'm not playing just rudiments. I'm playing sounds that are in combination with other sounds. That's why when you see my toms, they're set up in such an interesting way.
Yes.
Because the 15 has taken the place of the 12. Oh. And that's all I've done is that I've taken the 12 and switched it from the here. Instead of 12, 13, 14, 15, I've got 15, 13, 14, 12, 10, 8, you know?
Amazing.
And all of a sudden, it's like choosing the sound that works for you at the time.
Right.
That's where you want to be.
That's fantastic. Now,
so when I play, everything on the snare drum emanates not necessarily. I mean, what I do these days is that it doesn't necessarily emanate or begin with a snare drum pattern. The first stroke on the snare drum, it can start anywhere in either direction. Hence, justifying playing from the right to the left or from the left to the right, ambidextrously.
Yes. Yeah, this is a beautiful kit you have here. Tama drums, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They are these days for me the actual artisans. I mean, I'm not looking for a drum set that sounds like a bunch of boxes. I mean, and that has a lot to do with the concept of the individuals.
Yes.
You know, everybody's different. Yeah. I want my drums to have a specific tonal quality that it owns itself. And when I choose that sound to draw the sound out, I don't play into it. I want to draw the sound out. That means that those heads have to work in concert, which means that, and that's the reason for the Evans change from Remo.
Yeah.
It was because Evans made a resonant head, just like your snare drum snare head, but on every tom.
Wow.
That's okay. Incredible. Nobody was doing that much. No one was paying attention to the bottom head.
Right.
So the thinness of the bottom head, depending on the ply and the kind of materials used, depends. And the depth of the shell. All these things come together to make the personality of one drum. Okay, so now you've got this tonal character next to another tonal character, and it depends on what keys the band is playing in. Right? Right. So you choose that drum, you set it up, not specifically to be in pitch, because drums are not, they're very defined of pitches. You hit it or you you're going to go flat, Yeah. But it's eventually you can choose, and it has a character. It depends on how you draw the sound out of the kit.
It's amazing. Now, I know you're not doing it anymore, but this is a beautiful kit here. Tell me a little bit about how long does that take to set that sucker up?
About 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes. Oh, wow. Not bad at all, right?
Not at all, man.
No.
It's all done pre-production. So you have a rack.
Yeah.
It's all... The rack's mounted. Once the heavy part is putting the rack together.
Yeah.
The rack, and it's already preset.
Right.
The rack's set up. You put the rack together, and then you put your drums on it.
That's amazing. Right. Now, can I ask you also? I know he worked for you in the past. Drum tech that you used to have. I don't know if he still works with you. Jeff Ochiltree.
Oh man, what a great guy.
Yeah.
But Jeff's been very ill.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
And I hope that he's still with us. I mean, God forbid. But, he's been very, very sick and with a very serious problem.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that he's been taken care of. But he's an amazing artisan. Yeah. He made some great drums. I've got 2 of them that are amazing. Yeah. They're the, how can I put it? The foundation of that drum is actually my 35-pound Hinger.
Is that right?
Steel stair that I used to work with Mahavishnu, and he made all of that. Well, actually, from Mahavishnu then to my band, that's where he ran into that drum.
That's incredible. So he not only was your drum tech, but he made drums as well.
He still makes drums. He designed snare drums. There's an Ochiltree line. You can check that out. It's got an internet site.
Yeah, and we're certainly hoping that he's doing better. I know he's had some struggles, but certainly he was teching for you and for Bonham and many other folks.
Yes.
A question that I had from a friend last night was with Jeff Ochiltree teching for both you and Bonham. Did you guys ever connect? Did you guys ever have...
I never connected with John Bonham, no.
No, never had any of that connection with him. So, yeah. But the other thing that I get also is when I talk with drummers, there's 3 names that folks tell me the most as far as who's influenced them is Buddy Rich, Ringo, and you.
God forbid. I don't remember. What have I ever done?
Well, I think you've done a lot. And what does that feel like to hear that, to know that, I mean, you've influenced a generation of drummers?
Well, it makes me very emotional, but I got to tell you, man, I would prefer to go to Ebbets Field and see the Dodgers play again.
Yeah, okay. That would feel better, huh? Yeah.
Oh, oh, back in the day.
Yeah.
We'd be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, just a couple more questions. Who were those guys for you, Bill? You know, we talked about the people telling me they're major influences. Who are those folks for you that, like, got you connected? I want to play the drums.
My buddies, my friends who were around in my block in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, back in the day. I mean, come summertime, school's out. You know how kids get. You get a group of buddies. You play stickball until you're just bored.
Yeah.
Or you play. You know, you do everything on the street, and it all's been done. You play Skelly, which is like, you know, or marbles or things like that. All these things, and then you have nothing to do one day, and it's a Saturday morning, and it's like nothing to do. Parents are cleaning the house, and you just sit on the corner and you start to talk, our gang style, you know.
Right,
so
right.
Somebody says, "Well, what are you going to do when you grow up?" And it goes on and on and on. And of course, it goes from alpha all the way down to the zero, you know, which was me. And so that was the little guy,
okay.
You know. And so they said, "Well, yeah, Billy, what would Billy want to do?" And I said, "I want to play drums." You can't play drums. I can. You can't. I can. You can't. You can. You can. The normal.
Yeah.
Show me. So I got on the street corner. Go over to my father's car, which did. Good thing I didn't play it that hard. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt it because it was so small. I started to play on the fender of a 1952 Chrysler. You can't
Right.
destroy a 1952
Right. You can't
Chrysler.
hurt that. Yeah.
No matter what. Any car today would just fall apart just looking,
Right,
you know,
right.
coming up to it.
Exactly.
And they looked and they went, "Wow, Billy can play drums." And I went,
Yeah.
you know, like, wow. I'll always remember that.
How old were you?
Probably around 6, 7.
And had you ever played any drum at that point?
Sure,
Oh, you
sure.
had?
My family is musicians. My father's a piano player.
Okay.
Mom's singer. Grandmother played guitar.
Yeah.
Cousins played congas and made steel pans and all of that back in Panama.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was in the house. You know, not to mention every day, unbelievable amount of music in the house.
Yeah.
24/7.
Amazing. Yeah.
So,
so it was. You were already feeling it.
Yeah, it was going to happen. And it was just something that happened, you know. It's I didn't have to push it. Somebody was always playing, or some musician was coming through the house, you know, having a cup of coffee with something, a saxophone, something, talking music. Right. So, yeah, it was going to happen.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so when you told the folks, "Hey, I'm going to be a drummer," they were all for it, right?
Well, they didn't even. I didn't have to tell them.
No.
I just asked if I could get a drum set. It said it's on my Facebook page. It's me and my brother who plays trumpet with Paul Simon right now, and
that's awesome.
So he's with me with a bugle next to me, and I'm with a Ludwig snare drum that I still have, a 1959 Super Sensitive. Wow. That I got because I got into music and art high school. It was my first year. Amazing. And it's still there, and a silver sparkle bass drum that was stolen out of the car, which that was Brooklyn. And so you had to, you know, but I have my snare drum. Yeah. Right. My parents bought from Manny's in
yes. Of course, in New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Signed by Buddy Rich and dropped down the stairs, you know. Of course.
Yeah, of course, as you do, right? As you do.
Yeah, I still got it. Yeah.
It's great, and I'm really excited, Bill. I want to thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you want to tell us before we wrap up for today?
Well, I would like to just say that it's a pleasure to be here and to be with you at Musicians on the Record.
Oh, thank you,
David. And I wish you, you know, longevity with this project as well for your side. It's very necessary to have it throughout. I wish it could go national because I think it's a wonderful way to have things happening.
Thanks.
That said, just to have everybody come to the Rhythm Section retreat and to follow the tour, if they can go to my website, billycobham.com, www.billycobham.com. There's a calendar that shows where I'm going to be throughout the United States and the world, and it's one hell of a tour. I think I bit off a little bit more than I can chew, so I just have to pace myself and stay happy and stay healthy, and I guarantee some interesting times.
Yeah.
You know,
when is your next gig coming up?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So you are busy, man. You are busy.
Yeah.
So
we run right now. It's all Europe, and come September the 10th, it starts in the United States at the Blue Note in New York City.
Okay.
And it runs from September 10th until October 27th. We finish at the club where I led my first band with Jeff Ogletree in the band and Michael and Andy Brecker and Abercrombie, and it's called My Father's Place.
Wow.
And it'll be in Roslyn, Long Island, and that's where I'm ending my U.S. tour.
That's amazing. So it's coming full circle then, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's really great. Awesome.
So check the calendar, and you'll see it's a lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to billycobham.com and go to billycobhamretreat.com. Bill, I am super excited to come study with you and to connect and meet you in person again. Really excited.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a crazy group of people. I mean, with you and Dom and everybody else. Right. I mean, it'll go on, man. It's a super exciting kind of feeling. Hopefully, we're trying to get the likes of people like George Benson to come and speak, and just because he lives down the road, just if he has the time, we want to invite him to come and say hello and just talk about what was happening with let's say organ trios back in the day, how they worked and what they were feeling, because he is a griot unto himself, but it's just for an hour, just to talk.
Right. Yeah.
Us, not to the public, just to us.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. More amazing, another amazing musician.
I mean, that's my dream. I mean, I haven't even asked him yet, but I would love to. Well, we had Ron Carter and Kenny Barron before last year, and that was off the hook. Great.
It's fantastic. Would love it. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Billy Cobham, for being on Musicians on the Record today.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Bye.